How can you turn abandoned carts into loyal repeat customers? It starts with delivering a consistent and compelling digital experience. That's why Braze built a comprehensive engagement platform to unify your marketing efforts across every channel and device, activate user data instantly, and help you keep shoppers coming back for more. The difference between making a sale and making an advocate is Braze. Start creating meaningful connections with Braze today at braze.com.
Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Editor-in-Chief of Total Retail. I'm joined on today's show by Jann Parish, the Chief Marketing Officer at Francesca's. Jann and I are going to discuss the holiday season, what we've kind of seen so far, as well as how Francesca's is serving its customers this holiday season, as well as kind of take a look ahead as to what we're forecasting for 2023 at Francesca's. So thanks for joining me today, Jann.
Thanks, Joe. Thanks so much for having me.
So my first question is around kind of the consumer behavior and what we're seeing from consumers, what you're expecting, what you've seen from consumers this holiday shopping season. Tell us a little bit about that, what you've had at Francesca's.
Sure. So far for the holiday season, I'd say it's kind of a tale of two stories. I would say leading into more October timeframe, which call it holiday or don't, it's kind of a little bit of both.
Yeah.
Business quite good, and we were experiencing, really heavy traffic, a lot of shopping bags leaving the stores. We were really happy about that, and a nice uptick in what was going on with our e-com business as well. So Francesca's is in an interesting place too. We're in a moment where we're transitioning into really kind of the next phase of the brand. And as we approach November, we launched a whole bunch of new things, the biggest being our loyalty program. And so as I think about what we're seeing now is the sign-up rate being phenomenal. And now as we head into the holiday season, and especially Black Friday, because we're only a week out, as this is taped, the kind of return visit from all those new loyalty shoppers being a focus of ours.
So as you think about planning, you and your team, and you obviously do a lot of this work in advance, but you also have to be nimble enough to adjust as certain behaviors are seen from consumers. Tell us a little bit about that process in terms of optimizing the marketing strategy to account for the behaviors you're seeing from your customers, which again, can change very quickly.
Yeah, that's exactly right. As I kind of started out, November has been a little bit different than October in that I really do think people are waiting to see when that best deal is going to hit. That kind of, I guess, emotional behavior, like wanting to make sure they're getting the best bang for their buck. They're hearing the news about supply chain issues and more importantly these days about inventory gluts, and they kind of don't believe it until they see it. And so we have been monitoring that really closely with the way we output communication. So what I mean basically is there's the promotional messaging, there's also the brand messaging, and how we work with ambassador programs. So the intent is to make sure that we're creating that sense of scarcity, that you can't wait till Black Friday or there's a decent chance it won't be there. And for Fran, we're fortunate in that that's the way we buy regardless, is really close to when it hits the market. And the scarcity thing is real. And so it's just really a matter of making sure our consumer understands that too, and giving that sense of urgency so we can get them to cross the threshold over the holiday season, whether online and in store, multiple times.
And maybe I'm going to take one step back because you just introduced it, and I think it's important for context. I probably should have had you do this right at the start, but you called out the Fran brand. Tell us a little bit about Francesca's and then this other brand as well, Fran.
Sure. So Fran is my shortened Francesca's. We also have Frankie. So Francesca's has been around now for about, she, if you will, is about 22 years old. And we have launched Frankie now in its second full year. It has 12 standing stores of its own and is also included in Francesca stores across the country. And she's Francesca's little sister. And the Frankie product is really focused on kind of the idea of cool, not cute, and on really reaching out to where we're seeing a ton of white space, which is this tween audience, where we hear it from those who come in our store as Francesca's shoppers, and we hear it from these young women themselves. And so we saw that as an opportunity to really go out and do something unique and different for them.
So thanks for that, and thanks for correcting me on the brand name, because I heard you say Fran, and I immediately thought, but to your point, Frankie. I did want to follow up on the scarcity messaging, and kind of one theme or trend we've been hearing a lot about is kind of the extension of the holiday season beyond just Black Friday to end of year. It's really starting in October, going through November. So do you from a marketing perspective, do you then not lean in as much around that Black Friday and Cyber Monday messaging, and it's more of, spread that out across the season?
So I would say this year's been unique that in that holiday, really, gift guides hit the internet at the beginning of October. The in-store activity, I think, was not that far behind. I can recall being in some of our stores and walking into competitors and hearing Christmas music in October. And we've tried to balance that, because my concern is, and I think overall for our business, is there's some inauthenticity of assuming that you've gone straight into the holiday season that early. And we also, from a product standpoint, really focus on effectively a new delivery every 2 weeks. So the floor is constantly shifting, and that's where scarcity for us can really come into play. Those new deliveries tell a certain story, and of course the product can be mixed and matched really well, but we focus on that individual messaging. And when we buy, I would say broad and narrow, and that or shallow, excuse me, and that helps us kind of maintain that sense of scarcity.
So let's talk a little bit about the current marketplace, and there's external challenges, not just for Francesca's, but for all, in terms of inflationary pressures for consumers, a supply chain where scarcity is an issue, because sometimes you don't know when you're going to have goods ready and if you're going to have enough, or maybe the other end of the spectrum is you have too much, and then what does that mean for your marketing and pricing strategies? So talk a little bit about some of those external challenges, and then how that influences the messaging you're bringing to market at Francesca's.
Sure. So what we're really focused on for the brand in this coming season is that additional, basically, sale for the existing customers, and then also creating awareness for customers who either have been out of the brand for a long period of time or are just kind of coming into our target age groups. And with that in mind, there's a couple of ways that we approach that. We just wrapped up a large study to understand the personas of our customer and then take that across the country on a broader sense. And what we're finding is there is definitely that promotional sale-based shopper. And that has been long Francesca's heritage. But in addition to that, there is a customer who is in it for when she finds something that she loves. And balancing, rather than, that's not a customer who needs the promotions in the same way that our existing promotional customer does. And so that's where the launch of our Francesca's loyalty program, it's called the Fran Club, was really important. So we could kind of dive into understanding these different customers and basically approaching them with content that meets their expectations of the brand, whether that's promotional messaging driven towards clearance or full price messaging driven towards kind of the best of the best, and sparking her own imagination and creativity for the way she wants to dress.
You kind of lead me into the next question I have for you, Jann, in terms of, as you have this now loyalty program data that you can better understand your customers, as you noted, and your customers changing and evolving, based on some of the external factors that we talked about. How relevant then is historical data from previous holiday seasons, even 2021? And does that influence what you're doing this year, or is it, with this, we've got a better understanding through our new loyalty program data? Maybe we shift direction. How do you look at historical data and how that might influence what you're doing this holiday season?
Totally. And what I would say about historical data and then kind of the new information that's been coming in is that in this pocket of time, especially, you need both. So what we tend to look at is our best years. as far as like previous out years for the brand. Compare that from a volume standpoint and a traffic standpoint. But I'll say this, as Francesca's has continued to evolve, we realized we didn't need as many stores. And so that information can be based on a broader store base. And so you have to kind of balance it with what you know and what you know about what consumers are experiencing at a macro level. Inflation being a really big one. We're a brand that sits in a really friendly price point and has pretty broad reach into different demographics and socioeconomic groups and that sort of thing. And it doesn't change the need for the consumer. We want to make sure we're presenting best product at best price and giving her a good experience to go with it. And I know it sounds like retail speak, but I think in the case of the brand, this is relatively new, and the approach we've taken really largely born of the Francesca's Fran Club, and then also our additional research.
So, as you noted, we're recording this days before Black Friday. When this will publish, we'll be right at the tail end of the holiday season. So maybe this is a little premature, but I'm interested in getting your take as a marketer. What can you do to help capture those last minute holiday shoppers that you're thinking about, online, getting them in store? Is that plan fully formulated at this point, or how do you think about kind of ending the season on a strong note, getting those last minute shoppers into Francesca's stores and onto its website?
Oh, totally. Every moment counts down to the very last second. In this moment, it's that first kind of holiday purchase. And as we approach those last few minutes of the holiday season, if you will, those last few days, we know when our shipping cutoffs are, and we know what that approach looks like, and that's holiday gift giving. Now, you'll see when this airs that we'll have shifted more into New Year's Eve and into kind of the beginning, more relaxed wear for January. And the messaging will have shifted pretty dramatically in that direction. So specifically New Year's Eve. So Francesca's is a dress business, and among other things, but very healthy dress business. And that gives us an extra pop especially for our e-com business following the initial shipping cutoffs, because it matters just a little bit less. For the in-store piece, that is really, we spend a lot of time in those final days focusing on, quick gifts, quick pickups. And we have a broad section of our store that is exactly that. It's giftables and jewelry and things along those lines, those kind of last minute stocking stuffers and add-ons. And it's a kind of a great place for just, a little bit of extra kind of light and sparkle to what you may already have on your gift list. And so that's really what we're going to be focusing on in those final days. And I would say for Frankie, we have this phrase that we use. The last couple of weeks are about those kind of grandma grabbers. So basically what that is gifts that grandma picks up for her grandkids. And those we want to make it as easy as possible. She's looking to fill the bottom of the tree, or celebrate in whatever way she sees that she does with her family. And those are quick, accessible, really fun items for a tween girl.
Do gift cards play a big factor in that kind of your last minute push as well?
That's a great question, and yes, they do. And they're important, and you see them come forward quite a bit in our communications. We are still, a pretty heavy in-store customer base, and she wants it, and she wants it now. And so gift cards, while they're, a significant part of our mix, it's almost like she is looking for one more kind of great thing to add to underneath the tree. That's like a fully wrapped up present.
Yeah, and you make a good point. You kind of almost get that bumper week between Christmas and New Year, because you have such a business around that New Year's Eve, and so it really gives you an opportunity to extend further than some other brands that are more seasonal, and after Christmas it slows for a little bit. So let's talk a little bit about, as you think about, again, as we record this, we're just kind of right before Black Friday, but taking the learnings that you get from a holiday season, you and your team, as you begin to evaluate, okay, here's what worked, here's what may not have worked as well, kind of going over the process of your strategy around holiday, and then how then that kind of post holiday review impacts what you plan for as you start off 2023. Can you talk a little bit about that process at Francesca's for you and your team, Jann?
Sure. So really following the new year, we sit down as a team and you have the learnings you have from early holiday, you have kind of mid-holiday cycle, and then you're generally a couple of weeks out from really understanding that kind of tail end last moment as you drive into clearance and head into January. And what that looks like is understanding kind of consumer sentiment and behavior in each one of those cycles. So what happens in October means something different than what happens in November, and same for what happens in December. That information, we are investing really heavily in data science right now as a combo platter, if you will, of the macro studies that we have and understanding sentiment as reported, then layering that in with as our customers behaved across all of our deciles, and then also looking at what product performed the best and in what cycle did it perform the best. Mm-hmm. And that includes then going back and looking at when the promotional messages dropped, what did the email cadence look like, and how we handled advertising. We've become really efficient, particularly in our paid approach, and driving directly to the bottom of the funnel in a way that is something that Francesca's didn't have necessarily before. And also looking at that, what did we put out into market that worked and was the highest ROAS response, and what can we put to the side and rethink? This process usually takes us pretty much the whole month of January. And then that is how we influence the upcoming year.
Yeah. And I would think with such a thorough review process that you just outlined, it's not just the marketing teams, there's collaboration from others that you're talking about to get a better understanding, right? I would imagine, stores, your merchandising teams as well, others within the organization to kind of fill out the full picture.
Yes, absolutely. What I love about Francesca's is that it is not an organization that works in silos. And we are fully cognizant of the fact that the product plays a role in marketing plays a role in understanding how to plan, and think of all the different pieces. All of this goes to the store and how we best fulfill against what they need for that experience. And then also even the small, they seem small to us, but are really big for the stores is, our square footage is 1,500 square feet in a lot of locations. How many boxes can they ingest of new product to put on the floor during the busiest time of the year? So these are all the things that we go back, do our due diligence, and understand some of those factors that we didn't necessarily consider going into, but how they may have impacted the holiday season.
Yeah, that's a great point. Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank Jann Parish, again, the Chief Marketing Officer at Francesca's, joining us on today's episode and kind of reviewing the holiday marketing strategy for Francesca's. So thanks for joining me today, Jann.
Thanks so much, Joe. It was so fun to chat with you.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.
Great salespeople don't offer up every item in the store, so why should online shopping feel that way? Visit Braze.com to personalize the shopping experience for every customer.